So I'm here with Michelle Nathanson. Michelle, thanks so much for taking the time. First, I just want to start out by asking you a little bit about yourself and what you do professionally.
Yeah, so I work at a company called Taboola. We are an ad tech company, and my specific role, I focus on the publisher side of the business. So my whole role is to help our publisher partners make as much money as possible, drive as much engagement as possible, and build their audiences. And I specifically manage a team of account managers that are the main points of contact for our publishers.
Cool. So it sounds like you communicate with a bunch of different internal partners and external partners throughout your days and weeks. So I'm curious, if we were to take a step back in time to before you joined Presence Under Pressure, what was going on for you in your communications, in your own personal professional development that made you even interested in a course like this?
I was often put in a room with very senior executives, whether that be within Taboola or with our external clients. And I found myself in my head. And that internal chatter and nervousness was very obvious in the way that I was approaching my communication with these people. I think we talked a lot about in the course, darting the eyes, angling away, the tension in my body, right? And it was all very clear that I was nervous. And it's okay to be nervous is what I learned. Everybody's nervous. I actually was surprised throughout the course how much I was not alone in this. And what I found was that there are ways to kind of not lessen the nervousness, but ways to kind of keep it in check so that you're exuding a more confident and composed demeanor as you're presenting or even in just more casual conversations.
I love how you put that. And I'm just curious for you, we'll talk about essentially what are the big things that you got out of the course, but did you feel like over time, obviously we're seeing it right now, you're able to exude a level of confidence that matches just your own level of competence. But I'm curious, has that translated to how you also feel on the inside and kind of how the inner chatter speaks to you?
Yes, I am a lot more calm internally because I'm focusing my eyes, I'm using my hands, I am kind of forcing that energy through in different ways. Mm-hmm. And whereas before, maybe I came off a little chaotic in my communication style, I think I've honed that in a bit more, and I've been able to just approach conversations with a level of comfort and a level of internal calm that I didn't have before.
So cool to hear and so cool to see. Yeah, so you're really highlighting a lot of the embodiment skills that we talked about, even just in week 1 and week 2, that become such a through line throughout the course. But I also see you channeling so many of the strategic mindset skills, the messaging skills that we talk about too. So cool that you've been able to pull on those to also cultivate that internal calm.
Yeah, and I'll also add that just being able to give myself the power to slow down. I think I was constantly trying to, we called it fight mode during the course. Someone that's constantly in fight mode, trying to battle whatever I think someone's perception of me is as I'm speaking with them. And so what that turns into is a little bit more of, I guess I speed up more as I talk because I want to beat them to whatever perception they're going to think of me. So I'm trying to get it out as fast as possible, right? And I think just giving myself the power to know that I have my role for a reason. I've already proven myself by being in this room. Mm-hmm. And giving myself the ability to slow down has also given me a lot of that confidence.
Absolutely. So well put. And also just the ability, right, to practice that consistently, the slowing down. Because I think at first, and I remember this specifically with you when I said, let's practice this. Have you ever considered this? There's resistance there. And there's also this feeling like when you first try on that skill, like this feels really weird. This doesn't feel normal or natural. But then when you practice it enough times and it becomes more integrated, it becomes this like superpower in a way that allows you to cultivate that calm you were talking about and also exude that credibility that you're going for. But it does take consistent practice. So I actually want to talk about that too, just the format of the course and getting to have that feedback, coaching, consistent practice for 8 straight weeks, plus working within a small, intimate cohort of other women. Did you have any resistance or hesitations about the format going into it? And what, if anything, do you think coming out of it?
Yeah, I definitely was nervous about the format because I've never been in like I've done one-on-one career coaching, but I've never done it in a group setting like that, or communication coaching. And I was nervous about it because I'm so impressed with the women that were in the group, right? They're all my peers or higher up than me at Taboola. And I was really nervous going into it, like, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? Am I going to impress them as much as they impress me, right? I was in that fight mode already, even with the women just in my group, right? But what I learned over the course of the 8 weeks, and actually it was apparent really from the first course, is that it was a really safe space. And that I think as soon as everybody else opened up about having the same type of feelings as I did going into these types of conversations and doing this type of work, and how mindful they were and how much they really wanted to be in the course, it made me feel so much more comfortable just from the outset. So I really loved the forum. I made 5 new friends.
Mm-hmm.
5 new friends.
Four new friends.
Well, including you, Brenne.
Including me, yes. Right. You're right.
So I made 5 new friends, and we have a Slack channel now, and we're constantly pumping each other up because we know that we're in these big conversations and big group meetings with our senior exec team. So actually one of them the other day just put in the Slack channel that she's going to be speaking on a panel in the next 2 weeks. And she was like, I'm so nervous, somebody pump me up. And we were all there for her. So, it's just been, I loved the forum. I would 100% recommend it.
So good. And yeah, I just want to highlight that was a really unique thing that we were able to do, which was to create an internal, not an internal, it was absolutely managed by our company, but it was a cohort of just women from your company. So
Yeah.
we definitely run cohorts that are women from all different companies, and they find the same thing, that there's just this immediate safe space and camaraderie around those shared insecurities, concerns, challenges.
Yeah.
And it's also just interesting what you said too about you came in feeling so impressed by these other women, and the other women would say the same thing about you. I feel like that's like the number one thing people say about the women they get to meet in Presence Under Pressure is if you were to meet someone on the street, you would never think that they'd feel motivated to work on these skills. Why would they need to work on these skills?
Right. Actually, I had one in my mind as I was going in, and I was like, why is she here? Like, she's great.
Yeah.
And it really, it just made everything a lot more comfortable for me, that I know that, even though someone may be hiding it, it's there for everybody. And it's so much, I loved that it was all women too.
Yes, very important to us. And then it's also not just about, already coming in great, because you are already coming in great, but it's about really getting into the nuances and the nooks and crannies of what it takes to both feel like an exceptional communicator on the inside and also be able to demonstrate that on the outside. So I just have one last question for you. I want you to imagine, let's say there's someone watching this who's maybe on the fence about joining us for the next cohort. Maybe they're resistant, thinking they might not get enough individualized feedback. Maybe the course wouldn't necessarily address their specific communication goals. Maybe they look at the price point and they think that's a big investment to make in myself. What would you say to someone like that?
Yeah, I think I would tell them that it's worth it. I got so much out of the course. I have been able to approach my clients and internal stakeholders with so much more calm, so much more presence under pressure. And I feel like just by watching the other women throughout the course, and how they grew as well, it helped me, because I would start to mimic the things that they were doing well. And I also started to pick up on things, not only that I wasn't doing well, but that, someone else needed to develop as well. And it wasn't just Brenne's feedback for us, it was the cohort's feedback that really helped, right? And I think in terms of individualized feedback and feeling like you might not get that in a group setting, no, like Brenne will give you the feedback. So I do feel like I got that individualized care, because we all kind of we all had to present and to speak individually, and give each other that feedback. But I also feel like I got a good education by being in a group setting. So it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I so appreciate you. And we look forward to just continuing to support you for many years to come.
Me too.